For this demo of Brush Analytics, we'll be running on our Rush cluster, which is a Hadoop cluster we have installed. It has 3 worker nodes, 1 head node and 1 app node, and this is actually running on the app node. Within the Rush cluster, within HDFS, we have this milestone data. Milestone has 5 different fields: an event ID, a timestamp, a site ID, a compromise flag, which is 1 or 0, 1 if it's compromised, and then an entity ID. And this is a benchmark that was built. It's supposed to capture or allow capturing of security type events. So you could say this is like a cybersecurity type of benchmark, where we will then aggregate these results down by site ID. We're then extracting the year and the week from the timestamp, aggregating by the site ID, the year and the week, capturing a count of total events and then sum of all the compromised events, sorting that by the site, year and week, and then storing those results. And again, we'll store those results off in HDFS, and we'll write those out into partition files. And by partition files, I mean we're not going to write out one single file. This will actually run on the cluster. We'll source the data remotely within or distribute it. We'll do a locality optimization, much like MapReduce would do. And then we'll distribute the work out. So this would actually get replicated. And as we run, we'll be able to look at some statistics that show that. So let's run it. And it just takes a couple of seconds here for the jobs to get started on the cluster, but we can see that those jobs are actually running. JFalgo being my username, Milestone being the name of the workflow that is running. And this is going to process about 100 million records. If we go to our graph execution details, we can actually then see that this is running on the cluster. And let's open some of this up. And I can see that this particular process was running. It actually finished already on the cluster itself, on all 3 machines. But within each machine, we can see that I had 32 versions of it running, and each of those was processing data. And get a row count of the number of fields that were processed, number of rows that were processed. But we can see that the data was not only distributed across all of the nodes, but also within each node was also parallelized. And that took us about 36 seconds to process about 100 million records. Each record is about 100 bytes. And that concludes our demo.